Welcome back, y'all, and happy Tuesday. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and I'm your host, Bull. Today, we will be talking about Tennessee in the transfer portal. The way that we are handling it, is it correct? Obviously, we just picked up a huge wide receiver commit with Amari Jefferson, who Tennessee was on whenever he was coming out of high school. He is a Tennessee kid, went on to Alabama, decided that he wanted to come back home to, Tennessee, to Knoxville, and, fulfill his, rightful dreams and, come back to his rightful place where he should have really started off at the whole time. But please do make sure to like and subscribe whenever you come in. Now, today we will be talking more just about the offense and, obviously with picking up one more wide receiver, we'll kind of talk about that room. But I want to focus a lot on the offensive line. I've got several players, game clips with the all 22 queued up, and we're going to be going through all that good stuff. I'll kind of tell you what I like about them. And, again, just talk about should Tennessee be doing a little bit more inside of the portal to bring in more help, or are we going to be fine trusting the youth on this team? So we're going to start off with Amari, who, man, he's a really good football player, and we talked about him for the past couple of days, just about how we felt like he's a guy that should end up at Tennessee. We really like his game. We like what he can bring to this team because he's more of what I think Tennessee needs. He's about 6 feet tall, about 200 pounds. He's a baseball guy, so he has really good hand-eye and all that type of stuff. But he's a player that can play inside or outside for Tennessee, which, again, that's exactly what we need. He's a bigger body guy, almost like a running back playing at wide receiver, and he can make you miss. Okay, he's very dynamic with the football after the catch, but he knows how to run the entire route tree. And I think that this is maybe a little bit of a better fit for us than getting a Zachariah Branch. Now, Zachariah Branch is a hell of a football player. Please don't take it like I'm saying that he's not. But the whole point right here, y'all, is that adding a player who will understand what his role is. I don't know how much, we're spending on him with NIL. It's probably going to be significantly less than a Zachariah Branch, just because Zach Branch was, like the number one wide receiver target for pretty much everyone, or like the number one wide receiver prospect in the portal this season. But, you have to see how does it really match up with your offense. And I think that if you're looking to get more bang for your buck, to me, Jefferson is definitely that. Now, these are his high school clips because he did not play at Alabama as a true freshman. He did have a surgery, but I think that his surgery was some sort of a very minor, like hip surgery that he had at the end of the season. And I just read that he had been dealing with that since high school. He decided to play out his final season, his senior season of high school baseball before he had the surgery his freshman year. And again, it sounds like that was more towards the end of the year, but he should be ready for spring practice and all of that. So that to me is a huge deal. Like, you want to get in these players as quickly as possible to get them acclimated to the system, to get them out there working with Nico, working with the other wide receivers and all that type of stuff. So that is a great thing. Now, I do want to pull up here real quick for y'all to show you how the wide receiver room currently looks. Now that we have a pretty good idea, if you haven't already seen what Jefferson looks like, now y'all can see him. This is our wide receiver room currently. All right, so there will be 8 players. You see that we've got Jefferson down at the bottom because we thought that he was coming. We thought that he was going to be coming on home. But so we have a total of 8, and really it's about 7 because Boo Carter is not going to be a full-time wide receiver for Tennessee. So I would anticipate that Tennessee would want to go out and get at least one more wide receiver inside of the transfer portal. I don't want to necessarily say just for depth purposes, but I think, just to kind of compete for some time. But it is going to be more for depth purposes. I feel very confident that our starting wide receivers this season will more than likely be, okay, we don't know because we have a very long way to go, but more than likely it's going to be Mike Matthews, Chris Brazzell, both of your outside wide receivers, and then Braylon Staley inside of the slot. I like all of those guys. They've been here. I think that they can do a lot of good things. They have good size, good speed. They're all dogs. So I like how that part of it looks. Obviously, Boo, he would be a slot body that would, be like a part-time player. I think that you could put Jefferson up. Again, he would be in the top 4. I think that he would probably be over Boo Carter because he's going to be a full-time wide receiver. So I think that he's going to be within the top 4. And then after that, we've got a bunch of true freshmen. Travis Smith is a guy that I really think is going to be very good for this team. I actually listened to him on a little like interview podcast thing last night, and we might actually kind of look at that thing with everybody on this channel and just kind of, I'll tell you some of my takeaways from that. But, he sounds like he is ready. Looks like he's been picking up weight. He's excited. I think one of his goals for this season was to have 1,000 yards. That is a very high goal for a true freshman. The thing about it, though, y'all, is it's probably realistic because he's going to have to play. And then Ra Jackson, which is what Travis Smith is calling him. So we're going to start calling him that. Ra Jackson, he's going to be the next guy. And I think he's going to get a whole lot of playing time, too. The same thing for Joakim Dotson. So the young guys are going to have to play. We're going to go out and try to add one more player very similar to Jefferson who, has a good ceiling. I think that you want somebody that's versatile. They can play inside or outside. I'm looking for guys that are close to 6 feet tall and up, that are tough, that are rugged, because everyone that we're looking at inside of this room, they are all dogs. Whenever I call somebody a dog, I mean that they're tough. I mean that they're going to play hard. You know what I mean? I mean that they're going to show up when it counts. I think that we've got a good room of that. Let's add in one more player to it. And I think that just from a depth perspective, we should be fine. Now, will we add maybe 2 more? I don't know. Maybe if everything lines up perfectly, but I'm thinking just one more and that room's going to be done. But just kind of sticking with the theme of Tennessee looking more towards the youth on this team, I do want to kind of show you how the offensive line looks, because like we talked about, we're going to be looking at more of the players that Tennessee has at this point, especially with the guards, because I think that that's what most people are looking towards and saying, how are we going to look inside of these rooms? So if you look down at the bottom, in the bottom left guard, Andre Carrick, asterisk next to his name because he is just a possibility. He's still waiting to see. I think actually maybe like the waiver that he put in at first sounds like that one might have came back and they said no. And I think that he's fighting to get that overturned. I could be wrong on that, but that's just based off of what I've read. That's the way that I took it. So we don't know for sure if he's going to be back. We talked about this several times, okay, with Josh Thompson, the transfer guard that ends up going to LSU, that had actually chose Tennessee, but decides to go on to LSU because Tennessee didn't match, LSU's offer. I think that we could have done that. Felt like we were kind of holding out money to try to get a Zachariah Branch, who obviously we did not get. So that could come back to haunt us potentially. But Andre Carrick, that is an iffy one. Behind him, we have Sham Umarov, who we will be talking about today and looking at. And then if you come over to the right guards, I have Wendell Moe. And if Andre Carrick is not going to be coming back next season, I'm going to anticipate that Wendell Moe would be plug and play at left guard because that's where he played previously in college. So that's probably where he's going to be at. Maybe you move Sham to the right side, but we also have Ayden Bussell and we have Max Anderson. We'll talk about them. We'll talk about a few of the tackle bodies because the right tackle, we don't know who's going to be there. So I'll kind of show you how those players look. But first, let me get to some of these chats in here real quick. The first one right here coming from Mike Harmon saying that Amari will dive soon. Okay. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Let me see on the next one. Oh, okay. Signed soon. Yeah. So looks like he signed today. He's already signed. So that is a done deal. He is officially a Tennessee Volunteer. From Corey Smith. Yep. Amari is signed. Okay. So you beat me to it. CTB Spiffy saying I could see Boo getting a few touches out of the backfield a little too. I think that's possible. I mean, especially just because right now the running back room, we definitely need to add some bodies to that. I have a video that might be coming out for y'all today, just kind of talking about a player that Tennessee is targeting. I won't speak on that too much today, but just kind of talking about that and also talking about maybe, a different sort of style of running back, like a different body type that Tennessee could be potentially targeting. But yeah, I could see Boo playing in a multitude of different positions. For me, Boo is a player that you use almost kind of like a gadget. And I think that with Zachariah Branch, it would have been a very similar deal. You use him as a gadget piece because you want to be able to put that stress on a defense whenever you have players that might be a little bit smaller, but they are a problem out in space. That is where you can, get some major mismatches once you show, hey, we can use these guys in different roles. That opens up some of your other players, some of your Matthews, some of your Brazzles, some of your Jefferson, some of your Braylon Staley's, and everyone else. And I think really even Nico, right? Because Nico is going to have to use his legs this season. So anyway, this is our offensive line is probably going to be looking for us next season. And I want to jump into – who should we jump into first? Let's jump into Wendell Moe first. I have a few different clips for y'all teed up. He's going to be playing left guard right here at Arizona. You're going to see him pass blocking, run blocking. He's going to – for me, even if Andre Carrick comes back, he would be our best guard. He looks really good. Everything that he's doing to me, it looks very, very positive. And, I love the fact that he has really good body control. He's very strong, about 6'2", I think 330-ish pounds, something like that. So he's got a really wide body, but he moves well. And, you watch his pass sets and all that. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful, and he again will and can move bodies. Fits into our system like a glove. Exactly what we want. I mean, look at this. Like whenever you see the way that he's moving and you see his hand placement, his body placement, that's what I like to see. Now let's see what he does on this one. Actually, right here, pulling. Look at that. Beautiful job of getting flush. Actually, I'm gonna try to see if I can go back to that play because this is something with our guards that I've noticed, especially earlier in the season, whenever they're pulling, they don't do sometimes, man, they're trying to get kill shots and they're not as flush with this block. We don't need you to kill this dude. Just give us a good flush block. Make sure that you can, account for him. And then after you've done that, then you start to drive. That's exactly what we see right there. That is textbook. That's perfect. So right here, backed up on their own goal line, combo block, getting up to the second level. Look at that, moving bodies, right? Zone blocking, all that type of stuff. He's going to be really good man blocking. Again, right here, he finds a guy, shields him off, just everything that you want. I think that he is a beautiful guard. So that is the first player that we're going to be talking about today, that we just looked at today. And yeah, I think that he's definitely going to come in and play a very major role for Tennessee. Again, I hate to kind of keep on going back to this, but like I told y'all, I will probably beat this thing up, over and over and over again. Missing out on Josh Thompson because Josh Thompson, as good as Wendell Moe looked on film, y'all, Josh Thompson actually looked even better. So just imagine having that, having really good guards on both sides. And then Josh Thompson could also play tackle for you. He could play right tackle for you if you got into a bind. That's one that is a head scratcher to me. I don't know why the staff let that one go. Again, I'm thinking that they wanted to have some money saved up because obviously we have to go out and get some players at wide receiver. That room is we still got to add at least one more piece to it. So maybe that's what they were thinking. I don't know how much Josh Thompson was asking for, but I think that it was probably worth it. So either way, we are where we are at this point. If Andre Carey comes back, that one doesn't look as bad. But let's go on to the next player. We're going to talk about Sham Umarov, who, obviously also he is a guard body. Now, he came in as a tackle. He was a 4-star tackle coming out of high school and, 6'7", about 330 pounds. And I think that he's looked really good. Now, some of these clips will be from earlier in the season, but if you, as we kind of go through it, it is going to line up, based off of, from earlier in the season to later on in the season. You'll see him getting better and better and better. And it's pretty much the same with all these younger guys. But yeah, look at how strong he is here. I'm like, look at that. He's able to bend his back. He's got a very strong core. He's got a very strong lower body, and he can drive bodies. So, I think that he's a guy that, again, if Andre Carey is not coming back, he's probably going to be your right guard. And I love that because typically the right side of your offensive line, they're more run blockers for me. I think that Sham is a player that definitely looks very good as a run blocker. His pass blocking is definitely picked up as well. The problem though, y'all, is with some of these second and third string players, we're not going to see them on 5 to 7 step drops. Tennessee did a really good job of using them with the RPO game, with a whole lot of quick game stuff. So we're not seeing them in their true pass sets. So, kind of hard to know for sure what he's going to do as a pass blocker with some of the down the field stuff. But I will say, just based off of what I have seen, I really, really like where he's at. He's a player that, I feel confident with. I feel good about it. I don't think they're going to take, if there is any step back from last season, it would not be a major one. And I don't even know that there will be one because keep in mind, with these younger players that we're going to be looking at today, they're kind of still, some of these, especially those freshmen, they're at their floor. They're going to get significantly better. The older players, maybe more of knowing what to do and more of just like technique and fundamentals. Obviously, they're always going to hopefully get, whether it's bigger, faster, stronger, or, maybe get more lean, faster, stronger, however that goes, just to get in better shape. They will continue to get better. That is my hope. That's the way that things typically do trend. So Sham right now is a player that I feel really good with. Again, he's a guard / tackle body. So that does add some kind of like unseen depth because he can be versatile and he can play in different spots for us. So that's him. Let me try to get to some more of these chats. It looks like there are some more chats that just came in. I just want to try to stay ahead of the chats while we're going. So from CTB Spiffy saying you're 100% right. All right, thank you for that. I don't know if you're talking to me, but if you was, then thank you. From OBRDY saying go get that running back from Ohio State that hit the portal. Okay, that one could be a good one. Let's see who else do we have right here. From Matthew Wilkins saying if Sanders is not starting day one, we're about to have a big problem. Period. Okay, I disagree with that. All right, now I'm happy that you said that so that I can show you. But yeah, I most definitely disagree with that. And you know what? I wanted to look at some more guards, but let's go ahead and look at Larry Johnson real quick. All right, let's look at Larry Johnson, who played it. You know, he played left tackle for most of the season. These are just some of his. Now, I could have had about 5 minutes worth of him being very, very dominant, but obviously for the sake of these videos, I don't do that. But man, he looked good. He looked really good. Now, the thing about it, again, he only played on the left side. Can he get acclimated to the right side? I believe that he will get the opportunity because we are trying to find that, you know, that right tackle. But look at this. I mean, this is versus real competition versus Oklahoma, versus Arkansas. Some of these will be versus lesser competition. But for me, his run blocking is what is outstanding. Now, we know that we need to see really good pass blocking from that side because John Campbell, he was a pretty solid run blocker, especially to start the season off. But his pass blocking, man, this just felt like it got worse and worse as the season kind of wore on. Don't want to see that from Larry Johnson. I think that Larry Johnson is already a much better pass blocker than John Campbell or than Dane Davis. I think that he's better than both of those guys. So that is a good thing. But either way, you know, we can kind of see what he was bringing to the table. And actually, let me see. Are there any more clips with him? No. Okay. Yep. So we actually have a few more. Let me see. Got a couple more that I want to show y'all from him. Or actually, you know what? I think that was it. But so I'm sure that y'all did see some of the run blocks where he is literally washing down the entire line of scrimmage. Yeah, he's going to be a problem. Let me see if I can fast forward to some of those. This might still be pass blocking. This one might be a run block. Watch. No. Okay, so that's still pass blocking. Let me see. I hope that I got the run blocks in here. I might not. This might all just be pass blocking. Let me see what this one is. All right, so this one you can see a little bit of the run block, and here we go. So now look at what he does here. Look at that. I mean, on those down blocks, he's deadly. Keep in mind, this guy's like 6'7", 340 pounds, and he can move. He moves very well for that size. I feel fine with him, you know, potentially getting the first opportunity to start on the right side at tackle. Now, that's just me. I know some people feel like, hey, you know, if we can't put this 5-star true freshman in, then we are in a big problem. And I'm not picking on you, Matt, by any means, but I'm just saying I've seen a lot of people being consistent with saying that. That's just not true. Understand that David Sanders has a very high ceiling. He's going to be a great player, and maybe he could come in and start. I'm not saying that he won't, but understand it is a huge difference from playing in high school to playing in college, especially in the SEC. He's going to be going up against potential first rounders from day one. He hasn't seen any guys, you know, he has not blocked any players so far that are going to be first round picks at the end of this season. He hasn't seen that yet. That is a different animal. That's a different beast. So let's keep that in mind, and let's not just panic if we see that he's not starting, because I don't know that he will, and I'm not saying that he won't. But let's come back to the guard position here real quick, because we will talk about a couple more tackle bodies. But right here, I want to talk about Ayden Bussell. So Ayden Bussell is another guard guy. You know, I loved him coming out of high school. I actually thought that from the 2023 class that he was going to be the best offensive lineman in that class. Hasn't necessarily panned out that way. You know, him and Sham came in the same class, but man, he plays with some physicality, plays with some dog. And, you know, you see that he does, you know, he can move bodies. A lot of the times with these younger players that are going up against lesser competition, I'm looking to see how does their technique look, and then also how easily can they dominate. On some of these reps, you're going to see him dominating with a very high level of ease. So he's another one. He's going to continue to get better. Will he be ready to, you know, give us some depth or maybe even push for a starting spot by the start of this season? We don't know. It's possible because, again, this is almost like his floor. But this stuff looks good. And really, even on this play, let me show you what happens on this play. That's not even his guy that's making this tackle in the backfield. So right here, boom. You see that? Actually, that was a linebacker that kind of blitzed over that we did not pick up. So that was another thing, too, you know, with these younger guys. They're going to have to learn, you know, how to pick up different blitzes and things like that. And the only way that they're going to learn is by getting thrown in there. So I do kind of like the fact that we're saying, hey, look, Coach E, none of your guys have played. And a lot of that is just going to be from, hey, we kept on going to the portal to, you know, get into other players. We never really gave them a chance to play. And I think that it's good. Like, they're going to take their lumps and all that, but you have to give them a chance to play or they are never going to be ready to play. Like, you don't really get ready to play from just practicing. It takes a lot longer to do it that way than it does if you say, hey, look, we're going to throw you out there and, you know, put you out there in some real live game reps. Same thing could be said about David Sanders, which is why I'm not saying that he's not going to start, which is why I'm not saying that I don't believe that he will start. I don't know who's going to start, but we've got other bodies and it's going to be competition. That's my whole point there. But if you got to put some guys out there, because it's going to be about the same with almost all of them, except for Larry Johnson. He's actually seen the real competition. He's played in, kind of like spell mode where he's going up against starters. He's going up against, guys that will be going to the league next season. He's seen that several times. So that's why I'm saying he probably would have the best chance to start. But at the same time, again, played only on the left side. Can he play on the right side? Let me get to some more of these chats. I'm just going to try to stay ahead of this real quick. Let me see. All right, so next one right here is going to be from Brian Lemon saying, Bull, who would be starting safeties for us? Would Boo move back? Would Boo move to back end, every down and let someone else come in at nickel? So I'll make a whole nother video, y'all, talking about the defense, but I will answer that question, Brian, because that is a really good one. I think that Boo stays at star because he played it so well last season. I think that what you would do is take a Jordan Thomas, who would have been the starting star last season to start it off, had a season-ending injury before the whole season started. I think that he would be who you might try to move to safety because with him being at this point, I think he would be like a fifth-year senior or something like that. I mean, he's a vet, and he's not going to want to sit behind Boo Carter. You don't want to lose him to the transfer portal in spring. So I think that the staff probably has already talked to him about, hey, look, we would have an open spot at safety. We're going to try you out there because he's actually played at safety before. So that would be, I think, a pretty seamless transition. And I love him playing at safety because we talked about, having a safety that can cover. Obviously you have to be able to come down and get into your run fits and all that, but you need to be able to cover man to man. And I think that he can do it. Obviously playing at star, that's the toughest place to play man-to-man coverage at. So I think that him kind of making the transition back and forth, that is going to be a perfect deal for him to transition back to safety. And, I think that we've got some other guys that are young that we can rotate in. We've seen that, hey, look, we're going to rotate 4 or 5 safeties. So those young guys, I don't think that they're going to transfer out either. I think that they're going to feel like, oh, yeah, look, we're going to still get in. And you already know with football, hate to say it, but you are literally a play away from being the guy. So I think that is a really good look. But we do have to find a backup star player at this point. It's going to be one of those other younger guys. So whole lot of youth in several different places, but we'll talk more about that on a different video. Let me get to this one right here from G4 saying, welcome home, Amari. Yes, sir. Hey, look, again, man, I know that we kind of are glossing over that, but that is a very big pickup. We needed to go out and get more wide receiver bodies. He was a 4-star coming out of high school. He was one of the top wide receivers on our board in 2024. We're on him for a long time. So that is a huge pickup. I think he's going to do great with Tennessee. Again, exactly what we need. For Matthew Wilkins, for Matthew Wilkins saying sit another 5-star for a JUCO prospect or a 3-star that has developed nicely and see what happens. I understand the point you're making, but let's not overthink it. Well, I think that you're actually overthinking that. So I think that you have to play the best players, period. Right. So whether they came in as a 5-star, whether they came in as a 3-star, 2-star, whether they're a freaking walk-on body, like, I mean, we saw with Brooks last season. To me, that part of it shouldn't matter. Okay. And now I know that we are spending money on these players, right? I understand that you don't want to be spending up too much money on a player that doesn't play. But at the same time, the coaches need to know that what you need to do to keep your job is win. That's what you need to do. So if whatever player gives you a better opportunity or a better chance to win, then that's who you have to play. Now, again, I'm not saying that David Sanders will not win that starting right tackle spot. And, I think that kind of what Matthew's getting at is that, hey, maybe if he's not playing as a true freshman, he might transfer out. I don't know how true that is with David Sanders. And also with David Sanders or with any of these other players, with Larry Johnson, Jesse Perry, who we'll look at here in just a minute, those guys could also play guard. I mean, you could bump them inside and still let them see the field. So there's a lot of ways that we can still keep people involved. But I'm not one of those guys that just looks at the stars and all that and says, hey, this guy's got to play because of their star rating, not on the offensive line. Now, if you're talking about it like skill spots, wide receiver, where you can rotate in a lot easier, then yeah, I mean, like those guys need to play. There's no excuse. Or running back, there's no excuse. Like they should be playing, maybe even linebacker or something. Sneak those guys in there. But whenever you're talking about, and I would say, even on the front with our defense, especially edge rushers, get those guys in the dadgum game. But we're talking about offensive line as a young guy. That is a huge difference, because we're talking about real hand-to-hand combat, and they're having to mirror, right? They're having to deal with all the different moves. It's easier whenever you're on defense, and you can kind of go at them more. So you can say, hey, look, I have really good speed, so I can use my speed. But if you're playing on the offensive line, you got to be able to stop people's speed, people's strength, different stunts and blitzes. Like offensive line is not an easy position to play. That's one of the hardest spots to play anywhere on the offensive line. It's hard. That's why those guys are typically smart. Listen to our offensive linemen talk. Listen to any of them talk. They're all smart, like all of them. So that's all that I'm saying, right? So we don't know what's going to happen, but we will see. Actually, looks like we got a super chat in here. Let me get to that real quick. This one's for $5 from John. Thank you so much for that. Saying WSG Bull, go big orange. Hey, listen, appreciate that. And I'm going to play the clip for you. Thank you. All right, so let me try to get back up to the spot that I had left off at, because y'all know how it gets for me. I will miss it. I'm gonna get to one more here, and then we are going to take a look at some more players. So from Scotty Reed saying, great show as usual. Thank you, my orange-blooded brother. Go big orange. Thank you so much for that, Scotty. Hey, listen, we appreciate the support so much. Thank y'all for being here. Again, please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now, the next player that we're going to look at right here, let's stick with the guards. I want to talk about Max Anderson, okay? So this is a guy that played at guard and center. I think he looked good in both of those spots. A true freshman. What I really like about him, and I think what you'll notice about all the freshmen, is how violent they are. Like, look at the attitude that they play with. They've got a nastiness. They've got a dog and a mean streak to them that you really like. You know what I mean? Like, they finish things. You know what I'm saying? Even after the play might kind of be done, they'll get like that little extra push. So you always want that nastiness with your guys up front. And I definitely think that, Max Anderson is a player who has that. Looks really good as a pass blocker. He has really good fundamentals already. But also, I think as a run blocker, he looks good there too. Kind of like that same deal about moving bodies or, shielding them off. Like, look at that. He's getting a good little push. So, works well. He blocks well with other players. So, those combo blocks and all that. I'll love to see him go to work, and he's going to increase his game exponentially, y'all. Exponentially. He's going to get very, very good over the course of the offseason. So he's another one that, potentially, hey, we don't know what's going to happen. He might be able to find himself in a starting role. Same thing that I said earlier. I don't think that we should necessarily look at the stars. I don't think that we should necessarily look at this player's older or this player's younger per se. If they get it, they can pick it up, then let them play. Again, let's go back to David Sanders. If David Sanders comes in, if he's figured out our playbook, and if he's picking it up, I have no problems with him playing anywhere. I don't care. I don't care if, whoever. Let's let the best players play. And I think that that's kind of what the staff is getting at with playing some of these younger guys. They're saying, hey, look, we're not going to keep on going out and, trying to, bring in more people to play over the guys that we went out and got from the high school ranks. And, we are going to let it be kind of like an open competition. We're going to let them go to work, and the best players will play. And I actually think that might be a better strategy for this team. I think that's better than going out and every single season you got to get a bunch of bodies from the portal. Now, you need to supplement with the portal. Okay, so look, with the daggum wide receivers, gotta go get some people because we don't have enough bodies. Running back, we got to go get at least one more because we don't have enough bodies. But the offensive line, maybe it could be okay with what we have currently. Now, it does sound like the staff is still potentially thinking about going out and getting another offensive lineman. I guess if the right one comes up, the kid from SC. I can't think of his name now. And I've watched some of his film. I think that he's pretty solid. I wasn't blown away by him. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that he's not a step up from what we've looked at today. You know what I'm saying? Especially with some of the older guys. He's really not. He's good. He's played a lot more, but to me, he's not a step up. I've seen him get beat pretty bad in some situations. Again, I will keep on saying that we should have got Josh Thompson. If we're going to be going to get another guard, we should have got Josh Thompson because he was a surefire starter. So let's take a look. Actually, let me get back to some more of these chats because I hate to get behind on those. I want to try to get to as many of those as possible. Let's see, where was we at? Okay, so we left off on Scotty. Let's get to the wise man saying that we were never going to get more than a handful due to scholarships through the portal. We just got to make them count. Hey, that's a good point too. I think that the whole scholarship thing that people talk about, that might be a little bit overblown with NIL. if you want to pay for player to come and play at Tennessee or go to school at Tennessee, whatever, you can do that with the NIL. That's not that much. I mean, relatively speaking, that's not that much money. So, the scholarships, I don't think that's almost. I don't want to say it's a total non-factor because obviously it helps out some. It saves you a little bit of money, but it's kind of a non-factor to me. But I definitely get your point. It seems like maybe, I don't know. It seems like maybe the staff was already kind of leaning towards not doing too much inside of the portal this year. And I'm not too mad at him for it. From OBRDY saying Boo Carter, I think, is playing both sides, right? Yes, he is. He's going to be playing both. I don't think he's going to be starting both. I think he's going to play mostly on defense, but he's going to get some opportunities with some packages. I would say expect him to get, I don't know how many snaps I will say 10 to 15, maybe 10 to 20 snaps on offense every game, something like that, which is that's a pretty solid amount of snaps. I think he'll probably see something like that. You know what I mean? And we'll probably at least try to give him 2 to 3 targets every game, something like that. But he's gonna have to play on defense for us, though. Like, I think we need him on defense probably more than we need him on offense, honestly speaking. So from Money Controls it all saying, go Big Orange, late to the show, but FUGA, you already know, brother. Appreciate that. Let me get back to my dog, Matthew Wilkins, saying that he's saying that he does disagree, but he still loves me. Hey, bro, you already know it's all love, dog. And I don't ever take none of this stuff personal. Hopefully y'all don't either. Like, don't look. This is what this is for. Like, this is how families do, right? Like, we talk about stuff. We might not be eye to eye on it. Doesn't necessarily make anybody right or wrong, but we can have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can just talk about it. But yeah, so we will see what happens. I think that we all want the same thing, right? We all want to see Tennessee dominate. We all want to see Tennessee win, so we are all one family based off of that. So from Corey Smith saying, at the end of the day, we have to give Nico more time. That's a big fact. And the route concepts have to change. That's another big fact. It has become way too vanilla. Yeah, those are all facts. We definitely have to get things switched up. That's the part that we're all waiting on, because I think that whenever your scheme is correct, and this is something that P had touched on before, he was like, look, I don't care who we go out and get at wide receiver. If our scheme don't get fixed, it don't matter. And he's 100% right. The scheme can help out with the offensive line. The offensive line has to get better. We all know that. They have to get better. I think that we are upgrading some, though. With Wendell Moe coming in, I think that's an upgrade. I think that Lance Hurd looks so much better towards the end of the season, and he's going to keep on getting better. We'll see what happens with the other guard spot, if it's Sham, if it's Jesse Perry, if it's Larry Johnson, or, maybe if it's, like David Sanders, if it's, anybody. Hopefully they can step up, and we'll see what happens with the right tackle too. But I think that the thing about this, y'all, is that we have so many bodies at tackle that we can really mix and match. We've got a lot of depth at tackle. We've got a lot of players that look really good, that are young. The best thing that I keep on talking about with them being young is that they're going to grow so much, y'all. They're going to get so much better over the offseason. It's almost like, I don't want to say that they can stand around and not do nothing, but if they just do what's asked of them and don't do anything extra, they are going to get a lot better. The game will slow down for them. And I feel like hopefully all these guys are trying to do extra stuff on your own. Like right now, I don't know how much they're doing with the team. I'm sure that they have like regular, they got to go to the weight room and stuff, all that type of regular stuff. But what are you doing extra? That's what and if there's anybody that is a player on this team, that's a member of the staff, that's a family member or a friend of anybody, guys, let them know. Or if I'm talking straight to you, then listen to me. You got to go to work. You got to be hungry. Like, you got to say, I want to be the best to ever lace them up. That should be the mindset. We got to get a whole lot more of that. I'm not saying that we don't have it, but man, I want to, like, we should be blown away. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should hear about the staff saying, oh my gosh, like, we could not keep these guys off of the field. There was always in there watching film. There was always working out. There was always getting in extra work. We need that. Who's going to step up as the leader on this team and ensure that everyone's doing it? Because we might need some more of that too. You might need to say, hey, look, dog, you're either going to come in here and do this on your own, or I'm going to start making you do it. And we need more people to catch on to that. It's got to be a standard of excellence. It should be a bad taste in your mouth. We just got blown out. We just got blown out and embarrassed in front of 30 to 40,000 of our fans in the blistering cold. We got embarrassed. What are we going to do about it now? That should be the mindset. And I think that a lot of these kids, I don't want to call them kids, a lot of these young men and, young women, whatever, I think that that's how they feel. And that's what I'm expecting. So that's why I think that we're in a really good spot with some of these young bucks. So who have we not looked at yet? I don't think that we've looked at Jesse Perry yet. Let's take a look at Jesse Perry here real quick. So Jesse Perry, man, listen, everyone's been raving about him. They've been raving about him for a while. He's a guy, and actually, I'm gonna go back to that. He's a guy that I didn't know what all he would be able to do coming out of high school because he didn't pass block as much. But man, he's a dog, and he makes it look easy. Okay, like look at this. I mean, he makes the stuff look real easy. There's a lot of subtle things that he does too that just looks kind of veteran-esque. Like if we go back to this last play, let me show you some of the stuff that I'm talking about. So on this one right here, I believe it is. Yeah, so on this one, watch. So what he does here, he gets into his pass set, does a good job getting to the outside, neutralizes his guy right there, but he feels that the other guy's coming to the inside of him, just kind of comes off, gives him a daggum hip. Like, all right, this guy's done, boom, sit down. And then two, he also hits him low because this kid's he's getting his hands up. So he understands where his quarterback is going to. He understands, hey, this is going to be a quicker pass. And he gets that kid's hands down by hitting him low, right? You got to hit him like in the gut and below. A lot of times, you get some offensive linemen, they're going to try to hit him, right in that groin area. But that's the kind of mentality that you want to have. And this is a true freshman. This is a young buck. So just little things like that. Also, look at his feet, look at his hand placement, look at his body control. Something I've noticed with our offensive linemen, especially these vets, look at that. I mean, washing down and then coming off, getting up to the second level. Okay. That's really nice. I think it's this play right here. Watch him here. Boom. Push down, coming up, getting to the second level. Even though he only gets a, taste on, he only gets a shoulder on that guy. That's perfectly fine. Look at that. Boom. Same thing here. Look at that. Push him all the way down. So he's a dog, right? He is a dog. I'm very impressed with him. As we said earlier, didn't know how well he would do with the pass blocking just because he didn't do a lot of it in high school. But man, looks great, run blocking, pass blocking. And I think that he's got a real shot to play somewhere on the offensive line, maybe even start. He's another one. He could bump inside. I think he could be a starter at right tackle for you. I sincerely believe that. This is his floor, y'all. This is his floor. So, very impressed with his body of work so far, even though it's a smaller body of work. We've got some guys now. We got some guys. Who else do we have? So I think that we might have one more that we need to get to. I think we might have got to all the other ones that I wanted to look at today, and we'll get to that here in just a minute. Let me try to get to some more of these chats. So the next one is going to be from Keith Ward saying, I live in Florida and I'm a Vol for life. I hear more about Tennessee players going to Florida State, and Norvell loves Tennessee players, especially Squirrel White and his speed. LOL. Go Big Orange. Yeah, man. That's crazy. So I think that Herring is also going to go. I think he's going to play linebacker for Florida State. So he went from Tennessee to, I think it was Memphis, to Florida State. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for all those guys because they get to go to a Power 4 program. And I think that the main reason that you're seeing Florida State going out and targeting Tennessee players says a lot about Tennessee's culture, because Florida State was a very talented roster, whole bunch of 5-star, 4-star guys, blue chip caliber guys that they didn't care nothing. That, hey, how much are we getting paid? We're going on to the league next year. Like, it seemed like it was more of that. They didn't play with real effort. Tennessee, our culture is, hey, you're going to give your all for Tennessee every day. And I think that, again, I've said this before on live streams, I think that all the players that left us, I think that they gave their all for us. So I'm not mad at them. I don't think that as fans we should be mad at those guys. If they need to go out somewhere else, because if they're not seeing the field as much here, you can't blame them. I don't blame them personally. I don't blame them, and I'm happy for them. And, I think that we'll see Florida State take a step forward because they're getting Tennessee players. So I think that's a really good look for Coach Heupel. And I think that'll end up helping us out because people will be talking about that. I think over the course of next season, those types of little things, I'm telling you, that little stuff adds up. So let me get to Money Controls It All, saying Heupel needs to take the next step and evolve his offensive scheme for sure. Taylor fit the scheme to strengths of the players 100%. If Halsley can't do it, then get someone who can. I agree with all those points. I think that you have to do that. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest change that needs to be made in the offseason. It's not even so much about the portal. Yeah, there are spots that we need to go and add some bodies to because we have a lack of depth there. But I think that we would be fine with pretty much what we have right now. What are we going to do different? Because people are starting to figure stuff out, and it has become way too stale. So it's up to Coach Hype, and I'm hearing other people saying it too. I'm not going to throw out any names and stuff, but I'm hearing other people saying the exact same thing. All right, so from Money Controls at all saying that before they let Khalifa Keith out the door, I thought he looked like a linebacker. And he's saying, LOL. So David Sanders is going to need to add some college weight. He's undersized for that spot. Yeah, so he definitely is. So, I talked about this before too. But we looked at him in the playoff practices. You could tell, man, he's about 280 something. That ain't going to cut it. Like I don't know if we have an offensive lineman. Coop might have been the smallest offensive lineman that started for us last season. He was probably about 310, 315. And he was playing at center. Centers are typically going to be your smaller guys. Our tackles, though, they were like 6'5" and up, 330 and up. Our guards, pretty much same thing. I think that Spraggs might have been 6'4", but he's 330 and up. So that's how we like him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you have to be that big, but he definitely needs to be, I'm going to say at least 310, maybe 315, because he's such a good athlete that he could probably be at 315, 310, and he might look really good. He might look really good playing a tackle, but there's no question about that. That's something that his family has talked about, that, hey, we're going to intentionally keep him lean so that once he gets up on college, he can add the correct sort of weight. I'm not mad at them for that. And I know that he will pick it up pretty quickly, but just because he's so big. Now, he's naturally big. And he might already be up over 300 pounds, y'all. Like I've seen, and I'm sure some of y'all might know what I'm talking about here. If you know fighters or if you know wrestlers or any of that, whenever they have to kind of like cut that weight, like they walk around at, we'll say maybe 20 or 30 pounds heavier than what they're fighting at. I think that that's about the case for David Sanders. So it doesn't take them long. Like they'll gain 10, 15 pounds in like 2 or 3 days. You know what I mean? So, and it's not necessarily bad weight as long as he keeps on moving. So yeah, I think that he will be fine from that perspective. By the time spring rolls around, I expect for him to be at least at 310, maybe even 315. He could be up to 320. Now, if David Sanders is at 320 or 325, then yeah, Matthew, I'd say he's probably going to be, it'd be hard to keep him off the field. Because I think that he's smart enough that he can pick up our scheme and our system and stuff. So Tennessee's in a really good spot with our tackles, man. As Vol fans, y'all have to love that. So let me see. The next one right here is from Big Tennessee saying move Boo to safety. Yeah, I wouldn't be against him moving to safety, because you could always do that. You can say, hey, Boo, you're going to safety, and now Jordan Thomas, you can come back and play star for us. The only thing that I would say to that is that Boo Carter is a better athlete than Jordan Thomas is. So the star player has got to be able to cover those slot fades, those slot wheels. And let's just look at it worst case or hardest case versus Jeremiah Smith. Yeah, that's a really tough ask. Very tough ask for anybody. I think even the NFL corners would have trouble doing that. But we're just saying, right? You need the people who are fast enough to at least be able to stick with them. See what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that Jordan Thomas is slow, but man, Boo Carter looked really good playing inside of the slot from a man coverage perspective. With the safeties, you've got more ground, so you have more room for error. You can also, like, they're typically playing in zones, right? Like we can just have the safeties playing over the top, have the nickel player playing a man along with those corners. See what I'm saying? Like I just think that the skill set fits a little bit better for Jordan Thomas at safety than it does for Boo. But I think that Boo can play almost any position on the field because he's just that dude. From D Taylor, D, what's going on? D saying the effort was trash against OSU, especially on defense. We gotta push until the end, no matter the score. Yeah, so I feel like you said that before, and I didn't really see it at first, but as I've been going through some of the film, I've seen a couple of players that you could tell, like especially once we got down by like 20 or more points, you could tell that some of the guys, their lack of effort. And it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't 100%. And I'm big on that. I'm big on, hey, even if you probably won't make this play because it's on the other side of the field, I want to see 100% effort, because you never know. Because like there's that 1 in 500 chance that, hey, that play might get spilled to you. So you got to give that effort. And I did see some of that in that Buckeye game. And actually, the players who I saw from almost to kind of like, contradict what I said earlier, it was one specifically that I can think of. He's not with us anymore. He's not with us, but he was kind of not always giving 100%. Well, I don't want to say that, but yeah, he was kind of like that anyway. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he's one of those guys that I'm not going to say a name, but did not like that effort at all. From Matthew Wilkinson, also thoughts on the schedule in 2025. Georgia at home early is good for us. I think that it is. Going to the Swamp in November is dangerous, 100%. Arkansas and OU at home this year. I can see us winning at Alabama this year. Yeah, so my thoughts on the schedule, Matthew, is probably pretty similar to yours. just based off of how you kind of laid that out. I think that it's going to be a good thing for us to have Georgia at home in some ways. Now, I think that they might be the third week of the season. So we're talking about a lot of youth having to play, and they're going to have to grow up quick. So that's my only thing. But at the same time, I feel good versus Georgia as long as we make the necessary changes to our scheme. As long as we're not coming out with the same exact game plan where, Kirby Smart and, their whole team, where we don't have tails. I think that we'll be fine there. But Florida towards the end of the season, because Florida's going to be good. Florida's going to be very good. That one is going to be tough. That's going to be a really, really big game. We could be talking about potentially whoever wins that one could, be earning a playoff spot. So very similar to what we saw versus Georgia this season. But I think that Florida is going to take a major step forward. Now, I don't know how their record is going to be because they have pretty much the same SEC schedule, right? It's just flipped. But I think that they'll do better than they did this past season. And then as far as Alabama, I've said this before. I feel like Alabama is going to be good next season. I do. I think that part of their problem was with their quarterback. Just, man, he looked so bad versus Michigan. But I have this feeling, because they still have plenty of talent, I have this feeling that that they're just going to come out and be a good team next season. But I still think that we can beat them. We have to go there and play them. We all know that's not necessarily the toughest place to play unless Saban's coaching, when they're cheating for them, because their crowd ain't all that. Their crowd is not, it's not going to be crazy. And then who's the other team? So Arkansas and OU. Arkansas, I think that they could be a problem, but we do get them at home. Oklahoma, I'm not worried about Oklahoma. I think that we'll probably beat them worse than we did last season or, this past season. So, yeah, I think that Tennessee has a chance, but we got to make some changes. From Gene Galt is saying that if there isn't at least one coaching change on the offensive side of the ball, that will be pretty discouraging because it definitely needs some injection of new ideas. Yeah, that will be very discouraging. But I will say this, right? I'm telling you, this is a season that Coach Heupel, with me, it can go two different ways. It can go, hey, you wanted to stick to your guys and you still made the changes, because it's not that hard to say, hey, we're going to change, we're going to tweak some things, because just tweak a few things here and there. They can still do that. Or you brought your guys back. You didn't change a thing. I'm going to tell you, for me, I'm going to be ready for him to go. I'm going to be ready for it, because at that point, now we've seen that you are unwilling to change. And I'm not going to keep on. I know people love winning 10 games. Hey, that's great. That's not going to be, I don't want for that to be my team's ceiling. It's to only be able to win 10 games and to only, to always blow it in these bigger games versus better coaches. I don't want that. That's just me. Y'all could feel differently, but I would be ready for him to go. If there's no offensive changes, I'm going to be ready for him to go on ahead and pack it up. I mean, just unless it looks great. Now, if he keeps it all the same and all of a sudden, stuff starts to click, that's fine too. But he needs to do something that works. He can't keep on trying to do the exact same thing and expect that, something different is going to happen. From Nico for President saying, hey, Bull, love the show. Thank you for that. And keep it up. Thank you so much. Go Big Orange. My question to you is, which freshman besides David Sanders is the most likely to make an impact? Travis Smith, maybe. I think that Travis Smith has a really good chance. Really, any of those wide receivers, just because we don't know how they're going to look once they get up on campus. But I think that they're all very, very good. Rai Jackson looks good. Dotson had a great senior year. He's a guy with, great speed, really quick twitch. He has a really fast start. You know what I'm saying? Which that's deadly with all the wide receiver quick screens and stuff. I think that the freshmen at running back will have some chances to, definitely do some things. I'm going to go, though, if we're talking about true freshmen to have a good, I'm going to say Marion Dye for sure, because I think he can play strong side D, and I think he can play tackle or Leo. And, 6'5", about 265 or 270, something like that. Might be bigger than that now. And he can move the way that he does. I think he's going to be a major problem. But then also, I think Campbell playing at tackle. And I could really even say Ethan Utley and also Charles House. But I think that those players will have such an opportunity, because the interior of our defensive line will need someone to step up more than likely. I don't know if Tennessee's going to go out and target somebody else, but I think that there's several players that have a really good shot. Now, I love those linebackers too. I think Harmon, just as a, inside the box linebacker, I love his game. But we've got some good ones too. A lot of folks don't know too much about Jordan Burns right now. I'm going to tell you right now, Jordan Burns is going to be a dude. So I think that we're going to be really deep at linebacker with some youth. but it's going to be deeper than people might think. I think that the linebackers might look kind of like our cornerbacks did last season. Where we're like, man, we didn't think they would look this good. Linebackers could look like that. But I think that Jaden, Christian Gass, those guys would have a chance as well. So several guys, which would, to me would explain, like, I think in some places I feel kind of like how the staff does with, hey, trust these young guys. Let's let them play. Let's hold on to them. It might be better to kind of take your lumps now, keep everyone happy so that they stick around so that you can get them even better. Because what I hate is to do all the hard work, all the training, get these guys ready for them to go on somewhere else. And then those programs get the benefits of all of our hard work. And obviously, that player's hard work too. But yeah, I feel good, man. I think we're going to have a several breakout freshmen this season. All right, let me get to a few more of these, and then we're going to finish up with the last player. For Money Controls at All, we need to play with more discipline. These ridiculous penalties and foolish mistakes are costing us big. Got to go. Yeah, I think that we can always clean that up. You can always get a lot more discipline and things like that. It's something too. If you talk about with the offensive line, the pre-snap penalties, that's pretty common with Josh Heupel offenses. And I kind of feel like the pre-snap stuff wasn't as bad this season. I don't have the exact numbers on that, but I'm willing to bet that it's less this season than it was last year or any of the previous seasons with Coach Heupel. So that part of it is good. I look at some of the effort penalties like holding and stuff, sometimes even face mask or horse collar. I look at that. I look at those as like effort penalties. Yeah, you want to minimize that, but at the same time, you still want to make plays. Even I would say like PI and stuff. I mean, would you rather have PI or would you rather have someone score 6 points on you? Sometimes you got to do that. And we always had to, we always have to clean it up. Obviously, we're one of the most penalized teams in the entire country. I think out of 133 teams, we're at like 130 or something like that. Like we're over 125. So that's definitely, I think that you're right on that. From Aaron Atkins saying, go Big Orange, everybody give this guy a thumbs up. Thank you for that. Appreciate it so much. Yes, that would help us out greatly. Please do make sure to like, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. And if y'all ever see us put out anything with some sponsorships, please support us by just doing a little sign-ups. It's not going to cost you anything. It's just a quick little survey, whatever it is. But that helps us out in a major way. If y'all can all, help us out with that, P and I will be going full-time with this pretty quickly, okay? So thank y'all. We appreciate it greatly. From GoVols66 saying, keeping it real, love my Vols, but our season is going to depend on our offensive line. There will be growing pains. Yeah, hey, look, it always starts up front. There's no question about that. Now let's get to the last player that we're going to be looking at today, and it's going to be Bennett Warren. So Bennett Warren, we all know he was very highly rated offensive lineman in last year's class. He might have been the highest rated offensive lineman. Really good guy, really good player at tackle, and he's played on both sides, right side, left side. And I think he's very strong. You'll see that as this film kind of goes on, he'll get a little bit better and better and better. His pass blocking, I think, looks pretty good. He's got good feet for a bigger guy. It's not great. He has to get better. I think for him, it's going to be more about working on his body control, working on his core strength. And that's for, again, all of our offensive linemen. I don't know why, but our offensive linemen, I don't know if it's the technique and fouls being taught. It has to be, because it's consistent with all of them. But we tend to get overextended, with our feet and stuff. We tend to lean too much into our blocks. And we've got to rely on having good body posture and moving our feet, driving with our lower body, throwing our hips forward, some of that little stuff. And again, I think that definitely is coaching. But that's something I would love to see some of these guys get with some different people, maybe outside of the building. I hate to say it, but it's true. Get with some people outside of the building in the offseason, work with them, and maybe kind of take to that teaching a little bit more than whatever Coach E is teaching them, because he does some nice things. But whenever it comes to pass blocking, especially with our tackles, I don't know what the hell he's doing. We might need to, bring in a specialist for that, because I don't like the way he's teaching it. It's too consistently, it's too off consistently. I'll say it that way. But yeah, I think that Bennett Warren is a guy that, he can play tackle for sure. I think he's more of a tackle body. It'd be hard for him at like 6'8" to play at guard. That's, you really, I don't know if I've ever seen a 6'8" guard. I'm sure that there's been some, but I can't think of any. So he's probably, he's going to be one of those tackles. It's great that he's played right and left side. He's going to have an opportunity to start on the right side. I think he's played more on the right side, and Jesse Perry may have played more on the left side. Or no, Jesse Perry played a lot on the right side too. Either way, I think we've got some good depth at on the offensive line. Excuse me. We didn't really talk about center too much. Obviously, we talked about Max Anderson, but Sat, he's another one. As good as Max Anderson looked playing at center, Sat looks even better. I think Nick Moore is going to come in and also look really good. So I think that we're fine there. It would be concerning to me if the staff doesn't feel like we are and they, want to go target another offensive lineman. I don't know how I would feel about that, but it does sound like that's what they're going to do. Maybe that's for more for depth purposes. I guess that's fine. If you've got an influx of money and if you see someone that you feel like can help this team out, then by all means, go get them. I'm not against that. I'm not saying that. I'm not one of these, hey, we're fine. Let's not try to get any better. No, if you can ever get better anywhere, then go do that. But let's take care of our needs first. Interior offensive line, that might or might not be a need if we're still targeting players, and that is a need. I think that defensive tackle is a need. We need at least one more body. We hope that Bryson Easton is going to be coming back. Again, we'll talk more about that in a different video, but we don't know. So, I would say that, potentially maybe safety. I think we're going to be fine there, but I mean, that's pretty much it. Obviously, wide receiver is a huge need. We definitely need to go out and get some more wide receivers. Let me get to some more of these chats before we wrap it up today, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us too, man. Thank y'all for sticking all the way to the end. So where are we at right here? All right, so the next one is going to be from OBRDY saying, don't forget, this is now all hypos recruits. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, and hey, maybe that explains why. That's why, maybe that explains why we are, leaning more on the younger players, leaning more on the people that we brought in. I think that we do have some good ones, but that's me. Does the staff trust them? I think that the fact that it feels like they're leaning on them more means that they do trust them better. From Gray saying, I love your Vol breakdowns, man. Thank you so much for that. He's saying he is new to the channel and a huge Vol fan. What is your story? How'd you get into this? So I played football. I've been around football for my entire life. I always loved the game. Been around coaching, training. We've done a whole lot of different things. So that's pretty much how I got into, I guess, understanding football. But just as far as like with this channel, it really just started off as I wanted to do something that broke down players, especially for Tennessee's players, that were, high school guys and all that type of stuff. I wanted to do something that kind of broke down how they fit into our scheme, because they did feel like to me that our players, they would always like be lower rated. And I was like, man, some of these guys look really good, So like with Ariana Carter, whenever he was coming out, I think he might have been my very first video that I did on this channel with Ariana Carter coming out. I think he was on like a 4-star, but I was like, dude, there's no way. Like there's no way he's only a 4-star. He's really good. So that's pretty much where it all started off at. And Vol fans are great. Everyone that's been part of this channel, that's been with us from Jump Street, or however long y'all been rocking with us, y'all have helped us grow, and now we're able to do some other things. So I'm really, really grateful just to be able to do this, because P and I love doing it. Again, man, we would love to be able to just go full time, because we can bring y'all a lot more content, and I think maybe even better content as well. From GoVol66 saying, still think we need coaching help on the offensive line. I do too. We just kind of talked about that. From Money Controls It All, historically, hypo coach guys have took a big step in year 2. Yeah, for sure. The skill position guys, Matthews, Nico, etc., should have big success this year. Yeah. I think that just kind of comes with it too. You know what I'm saying? Typically if you're talking about college football, from freshman to sophomore year, that's your biggest jump typically. So it's weird because it feels like in the NFL, they call it a sophomore slump. You know what I'm saying? It feels like maybe you could kind of go backwards, but I think that's mostly for quarterbacks. Either way, I am expecting for several players to step up in a just major way. So I am hopeful, but I need to see some changes with the scheme, because they can get even better, and maybe the team might, get a little bit better, but I want to be great. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to see. Where's the next one? So the next one right here is from John saying, Bull, what do you think about us potentially getting Thaddeus Dixon out of the portal? Do we need a cornerback? We are in his top 4. Yeah, so I saw that he's from Washington, and I watched some of his film. There's some things that I love. He's very physical cornerback. I've seen him play inside of the slot some. I've seen him get killed with some double moves, though. You know what I mean? I've seen him, which, that can happen. Some of that maybe could be with the coaching. You could probably coach a player out of that. So I think that he would be a good piece. What is he, about 6'1", I think, around 200 pounds. So he's got really good size. And I didn't know how real that was, but it does sound like, I want to say on VolQuest, I saw one of the moderators say something like, we'll see if he wants to visit. That's interesting. That's very interesting. You want to bring in another cornerback of that ilk because I think that he might be the number one cornerback in the whole portal. Listen, we're talking about having 3 to 4 like real true almost shut down lockdown cornerbacks. Now my other question is, would we want to bring him in and could he play somewhere else? Safety. Could we maybe let him play at star some more because we do need another star player potentially, I think. So he's a guy that can do a lot of different things for you. Again, very physical, looks good. I think in coverage, his coverage for the most part was very, very good. Never going to be perfect, but it was very good. So yeah, I don't know. I would love to add him though. I don't know how real all that is, but I would love to add him. I think that if we can do that after we go out and get another wide receiver and all of our other needs, man, take the rest of that money or take, however much money that you can without, putting yourself in a bad spot. And I would go get him. Like we said, why not get better at these spots? That's a strength of this team. Make it even stronger, right? Add some more depth there. I'm all for that. So excellent question. I'm glad that you brought that up. We're going to talk about that in the next video. We'll break his film down some more in the next one. All right, let me see. Where else are we at? Let me see. So I think this one right here from Grace saying, okay, thank you so much for that. Thank you. And hey, look, we always love those, love those kind words. So thank y'all for that for sure. That definitely keeps us going. From G4 saying to hit the like and subscribe. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. From Jordan Boyd saying, I like our team. A couple of playmakers away from another natty run. I think so. Add some movement pre-snap on offense, and we're good to go. Yeah, that's a big part of it. You definitely want to, pre-snap movement. You want to get some post-snap movement. I think that there's a few things that they can fix, but the good thing, y'all, is that it is fixable. And we talk a lot on this channel. I see some of y'all saying the exact same stuff. I think that y'all are exactly right. It would be great to get some outside thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that makes it easier. But look, these are college coaches. It's not like they don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like they don't know how to add stuff to their offense. At least I hope that that's not the case. If that's the case, then they definitely need to go. But yeah, they can add those little wrinkles. I don't think that it's a huge deal. Money Controls it all saying we don't really need a cornerback. Can he play safety? Yes, he will. Just talking about that. Yeah, I think that he can play safety. He's very physical, very physical. And he has really, really good size. I think he might be a perfect safety. Man, wouldn't that be something? You bring in a guy that can play, corner, star and safety. Yeah, I'm all for that. All for that for sure. All right, let's try to finish it up and let's see if we can get through all of them again today. For Money Controls it all saying, I think he's putting Tennessee on their to basically as a money grab. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought at first. But what gave me pause is that one of the insiders was like, well, hey, we'll see if he's going to visit. So that makes me feel like maybe there is some real smoke to that. Maybe the staff is trying to go out and get him. And maybe they're not telling us too much of what they know behind the scenes, because we all know with the whole Zach Branch thing, how the whole fan base just flipped out because he ended up not coming. So maybe that's that would be a beautiful thing. From Money Controls it all also saying, love to see a lot more members build the blue chip community up for sure. Yeah, let's definitely do that. And saying members only film studies are top level. Thank you for that. Yeah, and we will have some more coming out. So from Jordan Boyd saying, is coach too stuck on his offense not being figured out? Is he too stuck on it not being figured out? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Coach Hype. I mean, I'm sure that he has to understand that his offense is being figured out. To me, it's kind of like stubbornness and it's kind of like pride. It's like, that's his baby and he wants to keep doing it his way. But what I think he should understand, I think that he does understand this, is that you can still have the same base to your offense and you can like let the offense grow. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should say, hey, okay, like we showed y'all something and y'all found something for that. Well, but what y'all didn't know is that I also had this. I think that he should maybe take more pride in that. And that's what, separates the really good coaches that we're talking about with Coach Heupel that can win 10 games every season, that can, that can make it to the playoffs, that can come close, but they don't ever get over that hump, from the ones that aren't just doing it, but are doing it over and over and over again, is that they will they will adjust to what teams are doing to them differently. So you have to have a few wrinkles in there. And I'm hoping that Coach Heupel will do that. And, if he doesn't, like I said, I will be about ready for him to go. For Matthew Wilkins saying, you think all the true freshmen see playing time this season? I don't think that all of them do. No way. No. All of them will not all see playing time, not like real playing time. Maybe a little bit here and there on special teams and stuff, but no, not real playing time. But I think that we have several that will for sure. Oh, okay, so he's saying on the offensive line. No, I don't think so. I don't think that. Are you saying all? Are you asking all of the true freshmen from this past season or this upcoming season? Because we only have two, or we have three true freshmen coming in on the offensive line this season. I think that, I think for sure one of them. I think David Sanders does for sure. The other two, I don't know. But if you're talking about from this past season, I don't think so either. I think that Gage Ginther has a little ways to go. I think he might actually get moved in to guard. So we'll see. But he's another one, man. We loved him coming out of high school. So, I mean, you just never know. Peyton Lewis reminds me of a smaller Derrick Henry. Yeah, man. He's got some good size to him. He's got some good strength to him. I'm trying to think of who he reminds me of. I wouldn't necessarily say, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I can see that for sure. Yeah, he actually does, because that's very similar, I think, running style for sure. So from Money Controls It All saying, then he needs to let his baby grow up and evolve 100%. All right, so we're going to get to the ones that we have right now, and we're going to call it a day. From Nico for President saying 2 questions. Is Jordan Ross the next James Pierce? And is Boo Carter the next Travis Hunter? I think that Jordan Ross, and y'all heard it here first, I think that Jordan Ross is going to be more productive than James Pierce. I think that he is. As far as Boo Carter being the next Travis Hunter, I don't know. I think that he's very close to it. But, I think Boo was really good as a wide receiver in high school, but I got to see Travis Hunter as a wide receiver in high school too. And that was different. that was different. Travis Hunter is different. So I don't know if he's going to quite be that, but I think he's going to be very good for Tennessee. All right. So from OBRDY, how good can Peyton be? If you're talking about Peyton Lewis, I think he can be great. I think that he could be an all SEC guy. Can he break the record that the records that Dylan Sampson just put up this past season? That's going to be tough, but I think that he's good enough that he can do it. I think that he's going to be the most talented running back that Tennessee has had, that Tennessee, you know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't leave, because I think that Cam Seldon was probably just as talented. But yeah, I think he's going to be the most talented running back that Tennessee has had with Coach Heupel. So I think he's going to do I think that he can do some very special things. All right, for Matthew Wilkins, I know this upcoming season on the defensive line, not the offensive line. Okay, my bad. Yeah, I think they're all going to play. Well, I don't know if they're all going to play. I think that all of the tackle bodies will play. Now, I think they're all really good. So with Lofton, he had an ACL deal. He's a really good player. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I don't know. I think he's more of a strong side DN. I don't know, just because we're so deep at ends. It's just like Jordan Ross. I just told you, I think Jordan Ross is going to be better than James Pierce. But Jordan Ross barely played this season. He was on special teams a lot. So I think it will be more difficult for those ends. But the tackles, yeah, I think they're all going to play for sure. All right. From Jordan Boyd saying, does Boo get offensive snaps like Deebo Samuel, or is he actually wanting to be a true wide receiver? I think does he get, what do you mean does he get snaps like? So Deebo Samuel, he does play offense. He just plays in different spots. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Man, I would like to see us use him more like a Deebo Samuel. I think that's actually a really good point right there. I don't know. It probably would be more at wide receiver, but I would love to see Coach Heupel really reach into his bag and let's pull out some tricks. You see what I'm saying? Because Boo's good enough to definitely do that. He is one of those. Now, if we're talking about Boo playing a wide receiver and some running back, and then also on defense, will he also play special teams? But if he's doing all that, then yeah, he might be able to get up there with the Travis Hunter, because Travis Hunter can't run the football out of the backfield. But I think the Boo Carter could. All right, so for Matthew Wilkins, I think it's going to be more like Deebo, in my opinion. Yeah, only going to get a set number of snaps. He's going to be playing defense every drive. Yeah. So, I don't know if he's going to be playing on every drive. We're going to have to give him a break. So that's why it's going to be very important for us to find another star player for sure. From Jordan Boyd saying that I like Bishop. I love Bishop. I think he's going to be really, really good. He just needs to stay healthy this season. But yeah, I mean, we've got 2 good veteran, running backs. I guess you could call Peyton Lewis a veteran at this point compared to the freshman. But I think that we will be fine, because the freshmen also look pretty good or at least in high school, they look pretty good. From Big Tennessee, who starts on the D-line next season. So it really all depends. I think that at strong side DN, you're going to see Tyree West because he is going to be back. I think at Leo, it's going to be Jordan Ross. And I think for the 2 tackles right now, If Bryson Eason comes back, then Bryson Eason and David Hobbs, or I'm sorry, Bryson Eason and probably Jackson Moy. And then if Bryson Eason doesn't come back, then I think it would be Bryson Eason and David Hobbs. I think that's your starting defensive four, but all that stuff is subject to change because we all know it's a long offseason. From 10 Vols 1084, what's going on, brother? Saying I'm worried about the old line. I hope we get some help. Otherwise, we're screwed. I think that we're going to be fine, but I understand exactly what you're saying because it didn't look great last season. But I think that we have more talent coming in. Even though it's young, I think that those young guys are a lot more talented. And, I think that with some of the stuff, like with some of this, with people getting beat, I think with a lack of foot speed or sometimes maybe like with a lack of hand speed and things like that, I think that the younger guys have that. So we'll see, but we won't know. All right, y'all, this is going to be the last one from Michael Hill saying, stay locked in with Blue Chip. Thanks so much for that. Keep on doing your thing, Bull. I most definitely will. Thank you for that. Coming out of Knoxville right here. Be real, bro. What do you think about Mayo being on staff, even if Banks comes back? So honestly speaking, dog, I don't think that that's going to happen. Now, I would love if Coach Mayo would come and coach at Tennessee. I don't know how good of a I don't know how good of a DC he would be just because we've never seen him do that. He's been a linebackers coach. He's been a head coach. I think that he can do it. Obviously, he loves Tennessee, but I don't see him doing that, honestly speaking. Now, I think that if we reached out to him and we asked him to come in and just listen to us, I think that he would listen. But I don't know if that would ever actually happen. And I think that Coach Banks has done a good job. There's things that he can also fix that I think that he needs to get fixed. So if he does come back, I'm fine with that. If it ends up being Coach Inge, if Coach Banks leaves, I'm fine with that. Coach Inge has, been a DC in several different places. I really like his teaching method and things like that. But if I could choose anyone defensive coordinator in the entire country to hand select, it would be Michigan's guy. That's who I would want. I'm not saying that that's going to happen or any of that. I'm just saying if I could go out and pick anybody, that's who I would take, and I would take him right here, right now, today. But that's going to be it, y'all. Thank you so much for chiming in. Sorry that I can't get to more chats, but we will be back at some point. Obviously, Tennessee is going to be playing tonight. A huge game, man, versus Florida. So, we will be talking about that. But thank y'all. Please do make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see y'all a little bit later on. Peace.